coming with them, Twain out wide, Swain Neste going with it, Twain got there. So Swain Neste going to Master Brutus, who won't flinch, but Swain Neste, Irish Legacy, oh, she's burst to the lead and has done it very easily in the end.
G'day all and welcome to Across the Ditch episode 2, which is a bit of a disgrace. I think we started this, John, about 3 weeks ago, and you've been gallivanting here, there and everywhere out of New Zealand, weddings, camping, the works, mate. How have you been?
Yeah, it's been pretty full on. Yeah, what did we preview? Boxing Day.
Yep.
We had planned to preview New Year's Day and a couple others at Trentham in the last couple of weeks. But yeah, Christmas and then went camping for a week. That made it a little bit tricky to get on the Zoom and record a show. And then
was it completely offline? Did you have any reception, or was it
no,
completely bare bones camping?
Yeah, no, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do the bare bones sort of stuff. It was Wi-Fi, but not the best Wi-Fi. Enough to get by, but not record a show, unfortunately. But following that, it was a stag do, and then the following was the wedding. So it's been pretty full on. But and then got the meeting we're previewing on Saturday, heading up to Auckland for that. So
yeah, well, there's a good reason to be heading up for that as well. You might have a runner in one of the. Is it $1 million race on Saturday?
it is, yeah. Imperial Empress in race 2, which we'll get to, but it's the Aotearoa Classic for 4-year-olds, worth $1 million. So she is the second outsider. So we're not sort of got too much expectations, but she gets the blinkers on for the first time. So who knows what could happen.
It's exciting stuff, mate.
It's
exciting stuff, and Dicko would be absolutely spewing if I didn't touch on it. This the New Year's resolution, or the resolution late December about getting to F45 and staying fit. Are we still on track? What's the go with your fitness regime?
Fitness regime, running's the thing at the moment. I haven't been to F45 in a while. I don't know if we've talked about it, but I've got a 10K run in a place called Taupo in August coming up. So a 10K run, and my friend who runs a bit more often than me, is a bit more fitter than me, said he'd give me $1,000 if I beat him over the 10K. So that's motivation. So that's why I've been in training.
Yep, actually in training. Have you been sticking to a schedule or what?
Nah, not a schedule. I just sort of I'm trying to go a bit of a horse's sort of preparation. That's how I'm trying to do it. Sort of keep it short, sharp, and just hopefully the fitness builds from there.
Love it, mate. Love it. And then what does Ellerslie look like on the weekend, mate? Surely we're sticking away from B Shin, just happen to be going on another holiday across to New Zealand, because there's no way he could have called that last meeting on Boxing Day at Ellerslie work.
No, he didn't do much for us, did he? I can't quite remember. There was that Sathito that I was pretty keen on in the Waikato stud colours. He rode wide throughout, and it's been beaten sort of a nose.
Yep.
The one in the first, I think he might have stuffed up somehow. We backed in, it didn't win, so that must have been the jockey's fault.
100%.
But yeah, he came away with no winners after having a pretty handy book of rides, so he'll be hoping to bounce back. I saw he came over here a couple of weeks ago to ride at the trials and track work for Te Akau, so he's pretty serious about it. So him and Craig Williams, I think, are the two visiting jockeys this Saturday. Last year we had Blake, Mark Zara, and James McDonald, but unfortunately J-Max in Dubai with Romantic Warrior, so didn't get him this year, unfortunately. But yeah, I think there's a couple of chances I don't mind for Craig and Blake, so let's hope they can go a bit better than Boxing Day.
Yep, fair. And then I know we haven't done a podcast in a while, but the winners haven't stopped in the Mailbag Bloodstock newsletter. Am I right in saying it's 6 in a row for you in the newsletter with a $15 winner last weekend?
Yep, indeed. Yeah, 6 in a row. Yep, going pretty good there. Posted a couple. Well, we did the Boxing Day, wasn't so flash. We did the full preview, and then I put a couple of tips on Twitter for those meetings that we couldn't do, and not a great result out of those either. But yeah, the newsletter best bets certainly are going well. So $15 winner, that was pretty good. Got a few emails after that one. There's a bit of excitement out there. I got someone sent me their Strava a screenshot of their Strava from their walk home from work, and they had attached a photo of the win, like the photo finish,
Yeah.
to their Strava. So that was a
Oh,
good
that
thing
is
as well.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That is so, so good. If those who currently aren't getting the Mailbag Bloodstock newsletter and want to keep up to date with maybe a couple of purchases that went through today on English
Mm.
Digital, but plus any other horses, any of the fillies, and anything else that's going on with the Mailbag Bloodstock, mate, what's the best way to go about it?
Probably just email me direct, jono@themailbag.com.au, and
That is JONO at themailbag.com.
I'll add you into the database. Yep.
Beautiful, mate. Love it. Shall we crack into Ellerslie on Saturday?
Hmm.
Rail true. What's the weather like now? I can only assume with a runner you've been studying the weather and looking up the bureau meteorology and probably understand the wind patterns and everything like that.
Yeah, well, this new Ellerslie track, they reckon drains like as good as anything. And we did see that a few months ago. There was a lot of rain during the meeting, and it stayed in pretty good condition. So expecting that to be the same. They did have a lot of rain yesterday. They got a little bit of rain today. They're fine the next couple of days, and then there's a bit of rain on race day. So yeah, as I said, I think the track will hold up. But yeah, there is a fair bit of rain around Saturday afternoon. So to be honest, hopefully that stays away since I'm there. But looks like it might have some impact.
Yep, fair. And then does this flow straight off the back of the Karaka Million sale, or is it the race meeting then into the sale?
Yeah, race meeting and then sale starts Sunday. So yeah, I'll be there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday for the sales as well. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, beautiful, mate. Beautiful. Well, let's get cracking into the races. The six race card program. You and I are having a bit of a chat off air. It just looks like it's action-packed excitement throughout the six race card. What time does it start
Yeah,
over in
kicks
your
off
land?
4:38 local time, so it's quite a good little twilight. Six races. I think there's three listed races: a Group One, a Group Two, and a Group Three. So it's all pretty high quality racing. But yeah, sort of quick fire, and yeah, it's a really good meeting if you're ever considering going. Would highly recommend it.
Yeah, the only setback here is for us blokes that love having a bet at 10:30 in the morning is that it's not probably
Mm.
starting at our time till about 2:30. So
There's fortunately two other New Zealand meetings on the day as well that'll kick off at normal time. So
well, as
around
long as
that.
you've got some tips over there, mate, that's the main thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Gold, mate. Let's start with race one. The odds are correct as of Wednesday, the 22nd of January, around midday-ish. And obviously, gamble responsibly for free and confidential support. Call 1-800-858-858 or visit the website. But, mate, race one, the Cambridge Stud Al Manzoor Trophy, 1,200 metres, Group 3 for the three-year-olds. We've got horse number two, Poetic Champion at the top of market, $3.10. Then the one moved to strike with Blake Shin on top at $5. Number six, Kitty Flash, $8. And Dalio at $8.50, then longer the rest, which is number 10. I hope I've said that right.
Yep.
What are you looking at through here, this 1,200 metre contest?
Yeah, Poetic Champion, as you mentioned, is the favourite. He was an acceptor in this race against his own age, and also the Group One Railway, which is against the older horses in the last.
Right.
He has been scratched from that now, so is heading this
Yep.
way. Yeah, I thought it was pretty hard to go past him. He was very good at Ellerslie first up against a couple of our old favourites, Twain and Sway Nesday, bet them home. Two names that are very
Very
famous,
familiar.
very famous, yeah. And yeah, he was pretty impressive that day. Prior to the prep, prior to that, he was winning a listed race over 1,200 metres at Hastings, beating Savaglee, who won our 2,000 guineas, and was very good first up, just been. So yeah, I think that he brings the right form, and he's an on pace horse. He draws one. He looks the most likely to be suited by the 1,200. Yeah, I really like him. He's the other one in the market, moved to strike the Tiakau with Blake Shin. They've met twice. Poetic Champions had its measure twice. Bet it by 5.5 lengths in that Hastings race. Move to Strike did start $1.50 on that day. Versus Poetic Champion 860. So obviously Move to Strike was expected to go a bit better than it did. But yeah, leaning the way of Poetic Champion, I think 310 is probably about right. I thought for multiples, Move to Strike definitely has to be considered. The 3 I'm All In and the 5 Archaic Smile were the other ones I was sort of having a look at, but pretty keen to have a decent bet there at Poetic Champion without going too silly.
Fair, fair. Let's hope Matty Cartwright can steer one home for us in the first. That is number 2, Poetic Champion. Then we move over to the main one, really. Like, let's be realistic. You've got a runner, number 14, Imperial Impress. We've got the New Zealand Classic over 1600. It's a set weights for 4-year-olds, a listed affair. The top of the market is Orchestral at $2.40, Bourbon Express $4.20, Mary Shan at $8, and then Long with the Rest. Are you looking outside the top of the market?
Um, I concede she's going to be very hard to beat, Orchestral.
Yep.
What is she, about $2.40? Was that what you said? $2.45?
Yep, 240, yep.
40. She, no doubt, at her best, she'll be winning this. The race, which heavily impacts us, when I talk about us, Imperial Empress.
Us, I'm a part of this, especially if you go well on
exactly.
Saturday. Don't you worry about that.
It's a set weights race. So you've got Orchestral. What is she? She's got a rating of 102, and she carries the same weight as an example Imperial Empress, with a rating of 67. So under handicap conditions, she'll be carrying close to 10 kilos more, maybe. So under set weights, we're in a bit of big trouble there with Imperial Empress. But back to more likely chance, Orchestral. She was just okay there in the spring. She ran in the Turak. She ran sort of down the track. And then she did the same in the Empire Rose. But she did start $10 in the Empire Rose, which obviously is a very good form race. A Tissue, Amelia's Jewel, those sort of horses. She started $10 in that, and certainly have to respect her off that. She won the 3-year-old edition of this race last year with J-Mac on. As I said, if she's at her best, she's very hard to beat. She had a little first up run, 1400 open handicap. She carried 60 kilos. She was beaten 1.5 lengths. It was only a field of 4, and she's finished 4th. It was so. That's kind of the reason for being against her, I guess, at $2.50.
Yep.
Wits End, the one gets Craig Williams, draws well. Sort of has been mixing its form a bit, but when it does put in a good performance, it certainly has been running well. So I think Craig Williams from a good draw can sit handy to the speed. Should get a really nice run. And I thought that that was a decent price at $18. Ravello, number 7, is an interesting runner from Sydney. Ran 3rd last start at Wyong, benchmark 78 when they had their Saturday meeting there. That was only a couple of weeks ago. So obviously they won't be bringing that over just to head to Ellerslie for the day. So expect that horse is probably thereabouts. Bourbon Empress.
Yeah, that Yorkshire.
You go.
The Yorkshire out of that race came out and pissed in again on Saturday too at about $1.45. So
yeah. So certainly have to respect it. And those 3 all by Savabeel, Wits End, Orchestral, and Ravello all by Savabeel. So Bourbon Empress, number 11, certainly racing well, tricky draw. Number 13, Frost Fair, another one that's racing well, one who lasts 3. She draws tricky as well. And then, obviously have to give a little shout out to the 14 Imperial Empress, drawn 2 with the blinkers going on for the first time. She's certainly up against it with the way the race's conditions was, but she can improve with the blinkers on for sure.
The real question is if you have a winner on, let's say top 3, if Imperial Empress runs top 3 on Saturday, Will you make the sale on Sunday? Is the real question.
Geez, that would be tricky. Yeah, I've booked the shuttle, the NZB shuttle for at 9:30 on Sunday morning. So
Oh,
I might have to be ringing them to
yeah,
cancel.
just bump that back, please.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if she can run top three, I think would be very happy. I thought from a betting perspective, tricky race, as I said, orchestral probably short enough. The one Wits End, I sort of settled on as a bit of a small each way play in the race. $18 and 450 the place. Craig Williams, good draw. I think was worth a little bit.
Yep, fair enough. Let's go on to race 3 then, mate. We've got the Westbury Classic over 1400 Group 2 set weights with penalties, fillies and mares. We're looking at Belclair, interesting, $3.50 top of the market. Then we've got Conasana at $5, Skew Whiff, $6.50. Is it Giraffe at $9? And then longer the rest, mate. Belclair, is that
Mm,
that's done a bit of travelling.
it has, yeah. It was pretty good there in Sydney over the sort of spring, and then went to Ascot for what was it, the railway? Yeah, so.
Yep.
Um, Yeah, she was actually the owners sent her over to be listed in the Magic Millions, I think it was Broodmare sale, and she didn't reach the reserve, so they decided
Yep.
to keep racing her, and yeah, she won the invitation and then the Hot Danish, so added a couple of Group Two wins to her name.
Yeah.
So she returns to Lisa Ladder, who was her original trainer before she went to Bjorn. She won this race last year. This race has been had a pretty good honour roll. Imperatriz won this race.
Not a
Levante,
bad horse.
yeah, she went all right. Levante also won it, so yeah, it's been a pretty good race. Belclair, obviously, yeah, Bjorn sort of found the key to her. I think she winning those two races. She's bet the likes of Magic Time, twice. So that's a pretty good horse on her day. Um, she's trialled here once since coming back. I thought the trial was just fair. She didn't have the blinkers on in the trial, but she also didn't have the blinkers on when she was running well in Australia. So, and they've put them on here on Saturday. So,
Okay.
yeah, as I said, yeah, she's going very well in Australia. She won this race last year. I just that trial sort of putting me off at the short price. The two Skewith did come over to Australia at some point, and was running all right. Ran fairly in the Group 1 Telegraph here in New Zealand last start. I think they've sort of kept her to sprinting distances a lot of the time, but I think I like her over the 1400 metres, which she gets here. Draws
Yep.
2 should be pretty, sort of just behind or around midfield. Blake Shannon, those silks that he got us rolled on Sathito, if he ends up 3 wide from barrier 2, won't be happy, but I doubt he will. The 4 Conasana,
Yep.
drawn in barrier 3, Rory Hutchins, that's a Chris Waller runner. Loves a wet track. I remember it winning it was a group race anyway, back at Randwick last year. Won on a heavy 9 in very impressive style, beating that Scarlet Oak, who also goes pretty well from New Zealand as well. So,
Yep.
yeah, if the rain does sort of impact, the track too much, I think that horse will be suited by that. It won the Gosford Group 3 race for fillies and mares last start. So, yeah, I think she has to be respected. You have to respect Waller bringing one over, I think.
Yeah, definitely. He's not sending it over there just for a look around, is he?
Exactly. Other than that, like Malt Time, we were on Boxing Day. I was pretty confident. That was my best bet on the day. Couldn't quite get there. She sort of struggles to win too often. And then number 7 Faraglione is a little bit the same. She's always thereabouts. She got heavily backed in this race last year and finished second to Belclair. So probably has to be respected again. But as I said, struggles to win. So yeah, struggled to take the 350 on Belclair. Just with that recent trial, I thought was a bit average. So I sort of sided with a small bet on Skewiff, who I think will be suited by the step up to 1400. Blake Shin, Tiaka also didn't have a winner on Boxing Day either. So and that's pretty rare for them on the big days in New Zealand for them not to have a winner. So they trained this one for Waikato Stud. So yeah, the small bet on Skewer, was it about $6?
650.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I think you can have a small bet on that. Otherwise, yeah, tricky race.
Yep, fair enough. Well, let's go into probably what is going to be more of a trickier race, mate. We've got the Karaka Millions 2-year-old over 1200. The listed set weights, obviously, for the 2-year-olds. Top of the market, we've got two Bravery Born at 330. Two Sweet, number 9 is 460. La Dorada is $6. Sierra Leone is 850, and then longer the rest. And it looks like the Lindsay Park Hayes team are also bringing one over. Hello, Romeo. How are you seeing the 2-year-old this year?
Indeed, yep. Yeah, the 2-year-olds. This has been a race that Tiaka have sort of, dominated over the years. They
Yep.
have brought a pretty good, sort of charge again. Starting with another one though, number 9, Too Sweet, the second favourite. I thought it brought probably the best sort of last start performance. Obviously, these are all pretty lightly raced, being 2-year-olds in January. So
Yep.
I thought it was pretty impressive. It was heavily backed there at Ellerslie over the 1200. Drawing barrier 9, sped straight to the front, and wasn't run down. It kept going. So I thought that was pretty impressive. It does drawn 15. It'll come into 14 with the emergency coming out, but it'll have to do a lot of work. I was watching the barrier draw this morning, and 14. I think they've won this race. Has won the winner of this race has won from barrier 14 twice. So it's not a complete sort of count out, but
Yep.
it'll have to do a fair bit of work from that barrier, which does make it tricky. But as I said, I thought its last start was very impressive. I actually backed La Dorada, who finished second to it in that race. In that race, so I thought it could improve. It gets the visor blinkers on, draws well. Craig Williams on. I thought would certainly get a nice run in transit, and with the visor blinkers on, can obviously improve slightly. Started 290 versus 2 Sweet 380, so they're sort of around the same sort of mark. I thought just with the better draw would be a bit of run. To Bravery Born, Tiaka, they've put Blake Shin on to Bravery Born with Opie Bosson now retired. Blake Shin's the new sort of head guy if they can get him. So
Yep.
they obviously think that's their main charge. Reading that, yeah, he's done nothing wrong. He's won both his starts. I just thought that other form was slightly better to my eye.
Yep.
As you said, Hello Romeo, early 2-year-old winner at Bendigo there in November. It was pretty impressive enough on that day. Thought it was pretty average at Ballarat the next start.
Yep.
I think Lindsay might have been keen on the winner, Aleppo Pine. So it was a good Godolphin horse from memory. So it was beaten 4.5 lengths. It hasn't had a run since. It's been over here. I was listening this morning for the last sort of couple of weeks. So yeah, that last start sort of put me off it. So I was leaning to La Dorada just at the price with Craig Williams from a good draw, $6 and $2.20 at the place. I think you can have a decent sort of each way on that horse. It's hard to see it missing a place.
Yep.
Just from where it will sort of get and run, and Tiaka polish with Craig Williams on. So yeah, that's the way I'm leaning in the 2-year-olds. It's always a tricky race, but yeah, just thought it would get the nicest run.
Yep, fair enough. That is number 10, La Dorada. Then we go over to the 3-year-old Karaka Millions at 1600. It's a listed set weights for 3-year-olds. We have at the top of the market Damask Rose at $3.90. Bourbon Proof's $4.20. Yaldi is $6.50. Tuxedo $7.50. Dealt with $9. And then longer the rest, mate. This looks like a reasonably wide open affair as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, Yeah, this is. I want to say this is the toughest sort of Karaka Millions meeting I've faced. I think this is the ninth year I've been to the meeting in a row. So always like to study the form pretty hard, and I think this is as hard as it's been. Although
Yep.
I do think this is probably I don't want to say the worst edition, but a pretty low edition of this race. There's been
Yep.
off the top of my head, like Orchestra won this last year when she was absolutely flying. Probabil's won this race. So it's certainly had some good winners in its time. Um, I didn't mind the four dealt with. It's only had its two starts, and its first start came on the 4th of January this year, so only not even 3 weeks ago. So,
Yep.
or just over 3 weeks, sorry. So, it's a bit of a big ask going from starting having its first start at the races this year to a race like this, but it's been pretty impressive in both its starts. It raced on Sunday, just been at Pukekohe in an open 3-year-old race, and did plenty wrong. It looked to have the race shot to bits, and it was going to win by many lengths, and then the jockey's almost fallen off after he sort of shied at something, and he's still won. So. I was expecting, just with how he won, I was expecting this horse to come up a little bit shorter than the $9. So I was
Yep.
reasonably excited to see the nine. I do concede that it's coming up pretty quick for him for a lot of other horses that have a bit more experience. But there doesn't look a lot of speed here, and I think he could probably go close to leading. For George Rook, who's a British jockey that has come over and been doing quite well. He's a profitable jockey to follow here.
Doing quite well. Last 100 runners going at 16%
Mm,
strike rate. More importantly, 44.4% profit on turnover,
mm.
with an average runners to expected winners of 1.62, which is like fucking airborne. Let's be realistic.
Yeah, he's going really well, and as you said, he's sort of undervalued by the market at the moment. So from the
Massively.
market anyway. Yeah. The favourite was it the favourite Damascus Rose? I think it is from memory.
Yes, it was. Yep, 390.
Yeah, she's pretty talented. She was pretty disappointing last start. I think we went against her there on Boxing Day, and she wasn't. She didn't do much, to be honest. Um, her trial since was pretty good. Blake Shin trialled her from memory. That was versus Babylon Berlin, who's won a good chance in the railway next. Um, Blinkers go on, drawn in 12, a little bit tricky. They probably have to ride her cold. Um,
Yep.
yeah, again, a little bit sort of happy to be against. Yaldi, the one's never been sort of one of mine. But as I said, it doesn't look the strongest edition of this race, so it has to be respected. The 13 Romilly, not paying bad money here, I think about $17. Forgive it last start if you put a line through last start where it was wide throughout. Started $8.60 in the Cefido race. It sat wide throughout. You just like fully just ignore that it went round. Prior to that was very good. At
Yep.
Wanganui was very dominant winner the start before that. So so you think out to the mile where it's drawn a 9. I hope they just ride it cold and have sort of one last shot at them, and
Yep.
I think she can run well. In a race that was a little bit tricky, I thought Dealt With was probably worth the 4, a small win bet, and the 13 Romilly a small each way, a little play at the big odds.
Love that. $9 and $19.
Oh,
So why not have a little two-bet play there? And then on to the last, mate. We've got the Railway over 1200. It's the Group 1 of the program, set weights with penalties. If we look at the top of the market, we've got Alabama Lass at $3.10. Is it Crescetti? Is that how you say that? At $5?
yeah, Critchetti, yep.
Crescetti. You're going to have to help me on the next one as well, Jono. Lubron at
Luberon, yep,
750.
yep.
Babylon Berlin, $8. Captured by Love, 850, and then longer the rest. Have you got one that the punters can jump into? It'd be just before 6 o'clock here, our time. People are
Yeah.
thinking about going out and having a couple of pints, or maybe they've already indulged in a couple of pints and realised they need some dinner. How are we blasting out in the last?
There's a few of these. A lot of these have raced against each other. a bit.
Yep.
And they're a little bit turn takery. They all sort of have their moment. The fresh blood is the 11 and the 12, Captured by Love and Alabama Lass, both 3-year-old
Yep.
fillies. Alabama Lass carries 52, Captured by Love carries 52 and a half. They're certainly very exciting. Alabama Lass, very speedy. They put her in the 1,000 guineas, which is over a mile, somewhat knowing that she's not going to be a miler, but just, hoping to get away with it as a 3-year-old. Captured by Love had her measure on that day, but prior to that, over 1,200, Alabama Lass had her measure there in the Gold Trail. So I think I prefer Alabama Lass to Captured by Love. She'll go straight to the front. I don't know that she'll get complete control. There's another bit of a control freak here, Babylon Berlin, drawn in 2. She's very quick. She runs her best races when she leads. So those two might sort of go at each other, which might sort of, set it up for something midfield or beyond to run over the top. Luberon is one I really like. Cambridge stud horse, 4 starts this prep for 3 wins. Last start it had a issue, some sort of heart issue. It wasn't quite the cardiac arrhythmia, but something very similar to that. And so, obviously a clear excuse. But I think, barrier 9, Black Shin, he can sort of just blend in somewhere around midfield. And if they're going sort of helter-skelter, should be able to get over the top. The 3, Crecchetti, gets the blinkers on, draws 1, has a nice weight here. I think he can run well. He'll be up there near the pace as well. And the 1, Whiteax, probably the one that's really well suited by the fast pace. He'll get right back. And he'll be doing his best work late. I'm a big fan of Alabama Lass, but I just think she won't get full control. So leaning to Luberon and Crecchetti, you can sort of back them at, I think Crecchetti was around that $5 mark, and Luberon around $7.50. I think you can have sort of play those both win bets there.
Love it, mate. Love it. That is the card at Ellerslie. So just for the punters that are tuning in right at the end going, if I just scroll right to the end, I can find the best bets, mate. I know you've tipped a few throughout the card, but what would be, if somebody was going to have 3 plays on the weekend, what are the best 3 to have at Ellerslie on Karaka Millions card day?
Poetic Champion, race 1, I think can get you off to a good start. I've just clicked back to the New Zealand TAB to have a look at my bets here, and $2.60 it's into while we've been talking. So that's far from ideal. But whether that's I'd prefer around $3. So maybe wait for it to get back out a little bit. The other one was the 2-year-old La Dorada. I thought that was a nice each way play, 6 and 220. And I thought just from a value perspective, the Romilly in race 5, the third aim was a good sort of value bet there at 19. So those would probably be the three plays. But very, very tricky day. But it should be good, but very tricky from a betting perspective.
Love it, mate. Love it. And just to round out, if people are looking to race a horse with mailbag bloodstock, what is the best way to get in touch with you, and what have you currently got on offer that people can get into?
Yeah, plenty on offer. Still got a few 2-year-olds, 2-year-old fillies. We sold through the Morris, who had been very impressive there in a couple of jump outs. This preparation, she's all gone, but we've still got a very nice Alabama Express, Hanseatic, and Seamus Award, who are all up and going. We've got an Acclaim filly we picked up at Magic Millions with Lindsay Park, and a Portland Sky Colt, still available with Lindsay Park as well. Those two both yearlings, and as you mentioned, not selling yet, but we have picked up a couple of tried horses today. So flick me an email, jono@themailbag.com.au for more information on any of those.
I'm glad you finally got that read right.
Normally,
mate.
I don't have to do it. Normally, Jack's a guarantee to do it. So
very true. That is JONO@themailbag.com.au. That is across the ditch for this week. We will be back in your ears as soon as we can get Jono back on deck and not at Bucks parties or weddings or camping. Enjoy your weekend, mate. Good luck from the team at the Mailbag with your runner on Saturday, and we'll be in touch soon.